everyone, the Wagon Wheel of Wisdom here. Please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell notifications down below if you haven't already. Hey folks, Kevin here. Welcome back to another episode of the Wagon Wheel of Wisdom. Did it again over here. Got the wagon wheel. Hopefully a little wisdom up here if I can learn my right from my left looking at this camera. But how was everybody today? Hope all of you had a good weekend. And I've been on a few different twin flame video threads or whatnot, or people talking about the journey. And I think the common theme that I continuously see over and over again is everybody's struggle as they're moving through the depression stage or the dark night of the soul, whatever the spiritual term is for it. And I want to talk about, based on that, an example, I suppose, of the inner work that I'm doing to try and, it's said over and over again, this highlights core wounds of, could be recent. One in particular I'm going to talk about goes way back into my childhood that I really forgot about, but had to sit with this weekend to understand something about the rumination aspect of losing my partner that falls into that I'm not good enough category. And I didn't really have the memory of this in the forefront of my memory bank, but after digging down, it led me back to this really incredibly, well, it was a hurtful time that I look back on it, because my parents were being very dishonest about something, and they used me as the scapegoat to rationalize and justify their actions. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. So the hardest thing in this for me has been the confusion of not having any correct answers to go on with this. Just, it was a very abrupt rug pull, no conversation about a breakup, no nothing. 2 days earlier, we were together, happy, intimate, and then 2 days later, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I want to just be friends. Something about it really hurt, I guess is a great way to put it, and something for 6 months now I've been struggling with. And it's not that I'm looking for answers as to her justification. I'm looking for answers now inside of me that help me realize why that pain of the rejection or of the abandonment or of the rug pull was so consistent, and why I was kind of just beating myself up day in and day out about, again, elements out of my control. And the one thing I don't think we can escape from on this is that mirror game on this one, that they did and said these things to really highlight and show things that we weren't ready to look at. But the more I go into this, it's like I can't wait to not deal with these things now, because they're going to be there again and again and again for me. And I'm not up in anybody else's head right now. I don't know what you're going through. I'm going to assume it's very similar things in some capacity, but I push myself to help get through these things so I don't have to continuously deal in the realm of avoiding them and pretending that they're not there and pushing them down. I watched a great video this weekend, somebody giving a recommendation about the second you feel those emotions, and I'll be the first to admit I was making this mistake of sort of pushing it aside and then saying things like I am love, filling in the pain with something else. And I didn't realize that that's really being inauthentic with it. So the second I'm feeling these emotions, and this person references in this video, it's a knock. It's a knock at your door. And you are there to open that door and just observe what's there, not tell it to go do something, not push it away. You are genuinely there to observe that emotion as it's knocking at your door and asking for your help, in other words. Visually observe it. So I did that. And when I did that on, the frustration, and I was frustrated this weekend because, like I said, it's the same reoccurring thought about her over and over again. And it's obvious that I have not dealt with something, but I think I found a big piece to this issue which I'm going to share with. So as I sat with this, Jesus, for a good 15, 20 minutes, I bet I sat with this thing. It dawned on me as it kept coming back to hockey. I kept thinking, hockey, what does this have to do with hockey? When I was, I think, age 5, so it was first through third grade, my parents got me enrolled in a town that was near here, or near where I grew up. Since my town was too small, it didn't have hockey, we went to a neighboring town and they did. And it was right around the time, USA Olympic team had won the gold medal. So you're talking 1982-ish, 1983. Hockey here was a very big thing. And my dad had worked with some people that were involved with this program. So I had played for 3 years. And on my 4th year, that team was being disbanded and combined with a team that would have been a little bit further away. Not a lot, but one of the biggest gripes while I was playing that my parents had was the amount of travel. Now, if people are familiar with sports with kids today, like it's a lot of traveling. Well, we were doing something very similar to that back in the early 80s. So it was a lot of money, a lot of travel, and you could tell it was just wearing on my parents because the season was pretty long usually. I want to say 5 to 6 months. So you're talking half the year of time. And my dad, who didn't ice skate at all, wanted to become a head coach just so he could travel with me and make kind of the journeys worthwhile in some aspects. So he didn't even play hockey, but then he became a coach and learned how to skate while I was learning how to skate, which was pretty cool, I guess, in a way. But fast forward to what would have been the 4th year of me playing, my parents used me as a scapegoat to get out of hockey. So instead of being honest about something and being truthful and say, we don't want to travel anymore, they blamed me because of, I think I got, when I was in school, there was always a common theme that I didn't pay attention a lot, that I would get what they call unsatisfactory reports as far as my attention span, but I would have good grades. But being a kid that school, it's kind of boring at times. So they used an unsatisfactory report on my report card as an excuse to pull me out of hockey forever. So I got blamed for something that really wasn't the truth, is what I'm getting at here. And I didn't really realize the impact that that is having on me. Fast forwarding to not getting the truth about this breakup and just like, here it is. I'm going to blame you, but I'm not going to give you anything else to go on as far as a real honest reason. And I didn't find out till down the road that my parents really didn't want me in hockey anymore, that the travel was a huge problem. The cost was, but that wasn't necessarily an issue, so to speak, but the travel associated with the cost, I suppose, to some degree was. But instead of telling me that and having the honesty to do it, they used something else as a means to blame me for the reason that I was no longer playing hockey. Even though my dad at that time then wanted me, oh, well, basketball's going to start up. Why don't you start playing that? So just to kind of give you the idea, I didn't, and it really, that devastated me back then because I was damn good at hockey and I loved it. I loved it. It was a game meant for me. I was just learning how to skate the first year that they put me on the ice and had become one of the better players on the team even after that first year. Second and third year, I'd become one of the better defensemen in the league at that time and got a number of awards. And I loved it, but they pulled me. Not like you have any choice in it at that matter. You just get yanked. So that's, and just to highlight, the one thing it's so hard is to do this over and over again the second that these emotions come up. But I'm here to tell you, like, the more you do it and the more you stick with it, the easier it does become to identify. I'm not saying the process of kind of reliving this and doing this again and again gets easier. It's like the gaps get a little bit wider as far as the time in between, as long as you're sticking with it, because let's be honest, there's triggers, there's things you see, and if you drill right down to it, many of the times you just kind of an emotion will hit you, your memory will take you back in time, and you'll think about that person. But the second you hear that or feel that emotion, that knock at the door about what is this, give your time to sit with it and just see what becomes of it. And I'm doing my best to like visualize myself when I see that emotion at the door, to just be very loving of it, to observe it, to recognize it. And I'm seeing that it's really taking me back into these moments in time that you forget. Well, that's wrong. That's wrong to say. How do I want to put that? Your body doesn't forget it. It's still there. Some emotional database, put down in the archives, but it's still there. It's just not in the forefront of your memory to recall it at that point in time. So it's this process. I just have to say it rings you out again and again and again, and I know that that's the point of it, but it doesn't take away from the exhausting side of it. And you're always told, oh, they gave you the greatest gift. Let me tell you something. In order to see the value of this gift that they gave you, it takes a while. You begin to get glimpses and tastes of it, but man, it's overridden a lot of the times by the frustration of the struggle, or at least, again, I'm projecting what I'm saying here out into everybody else, but this is the reality, I would say, just from my point of view. And again, I'm a little over 6 months now into this hellish breakup. I'd like to say it's gotten easier, but again, I don't know. I just think the way that I'm dealing with it I've got better tools, and learning that process of just allowing events to flow as they are and observe them for what they are and not hang on to them, because that hanging on to and not letting go, I believe, is where the spotlight is on us the most. And getting back to that, I almost want to equate it to like getting myself back to this childlike mentality of enjoying life again. And I tell you, at times it seems so freaking far off, but I know that it's there. Like I get this sense of it. And, I don't know how long this goddamn process is going to take me. I really don't. And I say goddamn process because it's exhausting. It really is. It really is exhausting. But last thing I wanted to talk about is I've noticed a few other channels now really kind of not cracking down, but digging in deeper to the whole twin flame thing and starting to separate the real aspects of it versus the fictional aspects of it that other people are capitalizing on people's suffering from. And I think you guys know what I'm saying by that. There's that documentary out, I believe it's on Netflix now, called Escaping Twin Flames, and I'm going to do as much as I can to stay as far away from that as possible. I like the storyline to it. It's romantic. Two people come together, they go apart, and they come back together. It seems really, it seems bittersweet and it seems romantic and whatnot. But at the same time, I feel that you're really torturing yourself if you're going to approach it from that angle. As of right now, just the way I'm seeing it, this is a sovereign mission. It's a sovereign thing I have to do. For whatever reasons, the old universe has no value in the old me and sees a much better value in a new version of me. And in order to get to that point, it's got to be a completion phase of just letting go of, as much as I hate to say it, somebody that I guess really doesn't exist, just maybe in my mind, and just leave it at that. It's a hard realization to want something I guess you can't have, be forced to look completely inward as to the reasons as to why you can't have it, and then be completely okay with not having it at all. It's a hell of a process, and just something I guess at age 46 I'm just wasn't wired for, but the system's getting rewired a little bit better and better every single day. So I hope the videos are helping. I'm still doing that in my head. I'm walking away. I believe that's been a very powerful mantra. I will not react is another one. And then sticking with the meditations to help with those triggers. And like I said, this is it's a day-to-day thing. It really is, and it's a it's a testament to all of us, to tell you the truth, as far as what our vigor is to push through something like this and go on in life. So I know that there's beauty on the other side of this, but it's gonna be a process getting there at times. So if I look tired, still am pretty tired. So anyway, love you guys. Hope you're all well. Happy Monday.